became a licensed real estate agent and realtor in 2003 and was a practicing agent for over 10 years. The tools that we're going to go through today are tools that I've used in my own business, so I'm going to be um, sharing some of my own experiences and suggestions on how to use them. Today's discussion, we're going to briefly discuss why do stats matter. We're going to do a full product demo of Infosparks and FastStats tools, go through some usage examples for them, discuss a few of the caveats that are important to keep in mind, and wrap up with a few frequently asked questions. If you do have any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to fill those in the questions box, and we will either answer them during the session or afterwards with you. So why do stats matter? Well, when we're working with our buyers and sellers, they're doing this every 5, 7, or 10 years. We're out there every day practicing, so we have a lot more of that day-to-day understanding of what's going on in the marketplace. And when you're a buyer or seller, you have a much different mindset. You have a lot higher stress level. I know this when I sold my own home a few years ago. I acted a little bit inconsistent with what I should as an agent because it gets very personal. So it's important for us to be able to provide good information to our buyers and sellers and explain where the market has been, where it's going, and where it may continue in the near term. And when we have good information that we can share with our clients, we can give them that perspective of what's going on in the real estate market. It helps us build a good dialogue between them and a good base level of understanding on the market. This makes a lot of the rest of the process a lot easier. There's trillions of household wealth in real estate, so it's kind of a big deal. Whenever I go out and talk to people and they find out that I work in real estate, they always ask, how's the market, what's going on? When you know your market stats and you've looked at them, you can spout that kind of stuff off the top of your head pretty easily, and you can then drill into specific discussion points. It gives you the opportunity to demonstrate your experience and knowledge with not only your own clients, but also with the people in the public who may become your clients in the future. Oftentimes there are numbers that are being released on a statewide or national level by different organizations that may or may not be as reliable and as good a quality data as what the MLS provides. And so being able to provide good, solid local data and current data on the housing market can help to combat misunderstandings in the media or to confirm certain things as well. And when we're all working from good data, we can provide a unified voice and reason and objectivity. So this is what we're going to go through today. We're going to hop right into an Infosparks demo. To access Infosparks, we're first going to log in to the MLS dashboard. And then we're going to click on MarketStats. This icon is brand new to your desktop. When we click on that, we'll then be launched into the Infosparks application. By default, when you load Infosparks, you're going to see the entire MLS region. Oftentimes, looking at a regional level is good, but there are many cases where you're going to want to dig into more local stats. So to do that, we would click the drop-down arrow here. We can either scroll through a list of potential areas, we can filter that list, or we can just simply start typing in the top. As you type, the list will filter down to matches, and when you click on the match you want, the chart will automatically update with the new information. Now that we've selected our area, we have a few more options to choose from. We can filter the data based off of price range, property type, construction type, sale type, square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms, and over here at year belts at the very end. If you forget that you do need to use this carousel here to get to the last few set of characteristics. So for today, let's look at single family, and let's look at previously owned. As we make those selections, we will see the chart update with the new information. At the bottom, we have a series of metrics that we can use. By default, we're looking at median sales price, but we can also look at average, new listings, homes for sale, and the other common statistics that we use. There are a couple of additional statistics here that you may not be familiar with. One is shows to pending. This is the number of showings it takes to sell a house on average. And then shows per listing is the number of showings that happen on a typical listing in a given month. Sometimes it's good to be able to compare and contrast different types of housing together. So we have a couple options for that. Number one, we can combine subtypes of housing characteristics. So we can look at single family and condo together by hitting the plus button next to the item we want to add. But in many cases, we're actually going to want to compare and contrast them. So we can hit the split button here at the top, and it will show you the differences between single family and condo by separating them out onto separate lines. In addition, we have the ability to adjust for price range and square footage by creating custom price ranges. So if we come in here to price range, we can set up a default of, let's say, 79,000 to 99. Once you've completed that, hit the done button, and now we have our breakouts here by price range. So we can look at, say, month supply and look at a given price range. Or we can hit the split button and we can actually look at month supply. In this case, we're now looking at month supply in these three price ranges of single family previously owned homes. So it allows you to do a lot of comparing and contrasting together. On the right-hand side here, we have a key that gives you the most current month and tells you the values and the year-over-year changes. We also have the ability to adjust the time scale and the calculations. By default, we're looking at a rolling 12-month average of the data on the chart. So that means we're taking the last 12 months worth of figures and dividing by 12 to get an average over that entire time frame. This is great for eliminating seasonality and that month-to-month variability that can come into the marketplace. However, it does so at the expense of knowing specifically what happened in any given month. So we can reduce that to a rolling 6 or a rolling 3-month time frame, or we can hit monthly. And now this is giving us the hard figures for every single month. As you can see, there's more seasonality in play. In addition to that calculation, we can also adjust the timeline. We can look at as little as last year plus the current year, up to max, which is actually from 2004 to So over these longer time frames, you can see the overall trend in the marketplace. It's a lot clearer than maybe what the last couple of years have provided. We can also switch over here to a bar chart and look at up to 3 years worth of bar chart data. So we can adjust that down also to 2 years or to compare just a given year. Bar charts are sometimes simpler to understand and to convey to clients because it's instead of a long series of lines, you're getting just a very quick snapshot between a couple of metrics. We also have the ability to look at different areas. So we can look at Toledo, but we can also add additional areas to compare against. So by hitting the add an area here at the top, you have the ability to add additional areas up to a total of 4. In most cases, I suggest not going more than 2 or 3 at a time, simply because it gets a little bit confusing. Select the areas you want, and then you can run through all of the other features that we had and compare and contrast those areas. There's a question mark here over at the right. Clicking on that gives you a little pop-up that tells you the activity, or excuse me, the different functionality of the tool and how they work. At the top, we have a user manual and FAQ section, which will give you a quick demo video of how the MLS or how this tool works in the MLS, as well as then more detailed information below. This is a great place to reference if you have questions. We also have a profile section at the top, and in the profile section you can upload an agent photo as well as update your agent and office contact information. In the My Area section, you can actually create your own predefined area. Now, we have all these MLS areas included already. However, sometimes you may want to create a subdivision or a neighborhood, or potentially put a couple of regions together. And so you have the ability to draw your own map to do that. You can use the frequently used areas to navigate to different sections of the map, or just zoom in, zoom out, and drag and drop like you would normally. Once you have the area you want to include, you can then just simply start clicking on the map and create a shape. You can adjust it however you would like, make sure it's there correctly. You can create additional shapes if you would like. You can also use a radius tool, select a point on the map, and draw out from there. And delete any shapes if you need to. Once you have the shape or shapes that you want, you hit the Save button, and you have the ability to name the area. Once you have named the area, it'll tell you how big of an area it is, as well as how many listings make it up. If the area is less than 100 or 200 listings, just to warn you that that's a little bit of data as opposed to a lot of data, and so consequently the statistics are going to be a little bit more varied in there simply because your sample size is small. When you hit the See Stats link, you now bounce over to Infosparks, and you're now looking at that custom area that you've just defined, and you can again use that to compare against any other area or do any other slicing and dicing of the data that you might like. In the future, any areas that you've created are available in the My Area section, so you'll be able to come back and reference those in the future. Once you have a chart that you like, now we want to do something with it. So we have a few options available. We can hit the print button, and we can get a download or an on-screen view of a PDF file. This will include your picture and contact information that you've uploaded into the profile section, the metric that you're looking at, the split that you're looking at, the chart itself, the area that you're looking at or areas, and then at the bottom here it tells you whether or not you're looking at monthly, 3, 6, or 12-month data, and the date that the report was run. Now, the other sharing options that are available, if we hit the share button, we have a choice here between static or live. Static, what that means is that the report that we generate here, once we've created it, the numbers on there will remain static for forever. So this is great if you're doing an article or a blog post or a Facebook share where you're specifically talking about a certain number on the chart or a certain month, and you don't want that to ever change, so that way what you've typed and what you've discussed doesn't adjust. The live chart means that anytime Infosparks receives updated data from the MLS, that'll be reflected in the chart as well. Every night we get updates from the MLS, and we update Infosparks through the end of the prior month. So right now we're updating through the end of March. Come May 1st, we're going to start reporting on April data as well. And so this chart, since we select the live option, will automatically start displaying April sales figures as well if we've made that choice. So in most cases, I think a live chart is better. When we hit share, we get a URL that we could copy and paste into Facebook or load this page. We have some share buttons at the top that make it easy to share out. We have that same branding that you saw before, the same type of chart. Now we have some interactivity to the chart. We also have a PDF file. Like you saw before. And I clicked the wrong button. Let me do that again. So we have that PDF file, and then at the bottom, we have the ability to download a static image of this chart and also to download a CSV file. This would allow you to download the Excel data that makes up the lines on the chart. So it does not give you the specific numbers behind, or excuse me, the specific listings behind it, but it does give you the numbers that are on the chart. If we come back in here and do an additional sharing option, we have an embed feature. The embedded feature is used on your blog or website where you want to insert it with the rest of your content. So by default, you could choose a static image or an interactive iframe version. I usually use the interactive version. You can select a size or create a custom size. Once you've done that, hit the share button, and then you get a snippet of code that you would paste into your website or blog. Normally you would capture the entire snippet and paste that in. However, for demo, I'm just grabbing the piece of code I need for the demo. And here you go. So now imagine this chart lives surrounded by the rest of your website or blog content. And then since we selected the live option, this chart is automatically updated every night through the month prior, and then every month as new data is available. The big thing with Infosparks is that it's important to play with the data. There is so much to learn in this, and there are so many different things that come into play that it's important to spend time to just kind of slice through the different data, look at different areas, look at different housing statuses, construction, year built, etc. Look at all the different metrics, play with different time scales. There's so much to learn just simply by playing through the data. And every time I use Infosparks, I learn more about my own market. So it's important to take that time to explore. So Infosparks is the combination of picking a geography or geographies, filtering their housing characteristics, adjusting chart types and time calculations, and then reviewing the different metrics, along with the ability to customize things like the price range and finished square footage, and create your own areas to make charts that are great for sharing. Any questions? If you do have any questions, feel free to fill those out in the online question box here, and we'll make sure we get to those in the next break. Fast Stats. Now we're going to demo that as well. So to get to Fast Stats, we first log into Infosparks, and then we click the Fast Stats tab at the top. So whereas Infosparks is all about having an interactive slice and dice tool that really allows you to kind of drill into any level of the market, any kind of metric you want, and any level of detail, the idea with Fast Stats is to get you the numbers you want quickly, and to do so in a way that's that gives you the right amount of detail, but gives you a nice condensed set of reports. The first report is local market updates. What this allows us to do is, using the interactive map or the area selection tool, drop down into an area that we're interested in and pull housing data for that area. So I clicked in here to Wildwood. Each report will tell you the area that's covered and how that matches up to the MLS area. It splits the data out between single family and condo villa. We're looking at the same metrics that we saw in Infosparks: new listings, closed, sales, etc. We see March of this year versus March of last year, and that percent change year over year. And then year to date this year, year to date last year, and that percent change year over year. And again, that's broken out between single family and condo villa. And at the bottom, we have median sales price for single family and condo villa broken out into charts, where it shows this region versus the MLS activity as a whole. What makes this really neat is the ability to compare and contrast different reports. They all are formatted the exact same way, so it makes it very easy to reference them now and in the future, or to do a side-by-side comparison. You can also pull up the regional reports in the map. Again, same formatting. In the future here, as we go, additional reports are going to be made available each month on Fast Stats, and that'll be updated automatically. The historical reports will be archived here in this time period section. So if you want to go back to an old report later to reference, it's right there. The monthly indicators report is a little bit higher level view of the market, whereas Fast Stats all about the local market updates are all about that one-page view. Monthly indicators get into a little bit more detail, but do so at the regional level. First page here we have is the monthly indicators is kind of a nice text setup for what's going on in the marketplace. The intro and outro paragraphs kind of talk about the real estate industry as a whole and what's going on in the country and economy. The middle two paragraphs specifically cite what's going on in your market area. This is a great block of text that you can use in whole or in part for your own purposes, emails, social media posts, blog, etc., or use it for inspiration to create your own content. We also have a few quick facts here, give you some top line numbers as what's going on with closed sales, median sales, and homes for sale. The next two pages break out the housing data into condo, townhouse, condo villa, and single family, and give you the same metrics we've been looking at before, with a few years worth of historical bars. The most current month's data versus the same month year prior, that year over year change, and then the same thing for the year-to-date figures as well. The next set of pages goes through a specific metric on a single page. At the top, it'll tell you the metric. It'll also give you a description of what that metric is. Then we look at March of this year. We're looking at single family. the count of closed sales for single family in 2017, 16, and 15, the year-over-year changes between them. And then we see condo villa separated out as well. We also have the year-to-date figures for single family and condo townhouse. In addition, if you want to look at the precise counts for every month, we have the last 12 months worth of counts for single family and condo villa here as well. The bottom gives you a trend line going back to 2007, showing that historical activity. And this is monthly data, so you see the very big seasonality that can come into play. Days on market, median sales price, all the same metrics that we've already seen in the other reports. However, there's an addition in this report, the Housing Affordability Index. The intent of this page is to give you a sense for how affordable is housing relative to the historical trend. So what this does is it takes into account the median sales price, the median household income, and prevailing interest rates to determine, relative to those things, how affordable are houses. The higher the figure, the more affordable the housing. So as we know, those variables, income and median sales price and interest rates, often can run a little bit counter to each other. And so this tries to balance for that to figure out monthly payment wise how affordable is the housing. Inventory of homes for sale, month supply, and then the last page is like the second and third page of the report, looks at all of our top line metrics, but it's combining all properties together. We have the historical reports available for this as well when those are created. The housing supply overview is another type of report. This is looking at a few key metrics and then breaking it out into a little bit more detail by price range. So the first page here, we have some more block of text here discussing the market as a whole. Then we're looking now at pending sales, but we're breaking this out now by price range. And we're showing the year-over-year changes between them. We also have a breakout by bedrooms and by property type. And then down here at the bottom, it's giving you those same breakouts in a tabular data format. We do the same thing for days on market, for median sales price, percent of list price received, and inventory of homes for sale. And finally, month's supply of inventory. The Market Watch report takes a little bit different angle on things, and now we're looking at what's going on at a county and zip code level. So what we're looking at here now is quarterly data as opposed to monthly data for each of the counties. Quarter one of this year, the year change year over year for median sales price, percentage of original list price, days on market, and closed sales. We then break out into each individual county page where we go through those key metrics. Bar charts showing the last 3 years of quarter one activity. Historical median price. And then on the second page for each county report, it's showing you the individual zip codes and those same metrics that we were looking at on the prior pages. And again, archived reports will be available there. So local market updates can be done at that region or at the county or city level. The idea here is it's a one-page report, gives you a nice top-line set of data for what's going on in those areas with all of the key metrics that are important and a couple of trend lines to help you out. The monthly indicators report is at the region-wide level. We're looking at what's going on month to month over a broad set of metrics, and we're able to drill in a little bit deeper to see how those changes are year over year and over the long-term trend. The housing supply overview is taking this information, but now we're looking at it by price range, by single family versus condo villa, and also then by bedroom count. And the market watch report is more of a top line view of county and zip code activity. Any questions at all? Alrighty, so Stats is a smart marketing utility. We've got some information now. What do we do with it? Obviously, this is great for your own personal knowledge, and I recommend that you look at this stuff at a regular basis. Numbers come easy to some of us and harder to others, but if you continue to review this over time, you'll get better with it and more comfortable. And it'll also take you less time to review this data as you become more accustomed to it as well. When we're working with not only our clients, but also the public, a lot of housing questions that come up are pretty easy to answer with stats. So for example, is it a buyer's or seller's market? Well, we're just going to look at month supply, but then we're going to talk about what is days on market doing, what is price doing, how do those all interplay together. Same thing with the rest of these kinds of questions. Most of these are easy to go back and reference one or more metrics and use that to help tell the story of what's going on in the marketplace. These reports are great for listing presentations and buyer packets. The idea is that you don't have to use every page of every report, and in fact, in most cases, I don't think you should. It's about grabbing the information that's appropriate for not only the client that you're discussing it with, but also for the situation and the needs of that client. So, for example, I'll typically grab a couple of Infosparks reports that I think might be valuable, and then I'll go in and grab a local market update report for the seller, or if I'm working with a buyer, maybe a couple for each of the areas they're looking at. And then go into the monthly indicators or the housing supply overview or the quarterly indicators and grab just the couple of pages that I think are most important for the situation. The idea is not to overload them, but to give them as good of an understanding of the marketplace as you can and in what you can with the data. None of it replaces what we do on the street every day, but we can certainly get them more up to speed with what's going on in their area. The idea with these reports is that they're made to be shared. Feel free to share out any of these reports with your clients, with your sphere, with anyone who could become a client. The idea is not to be a secret agent. Share these reports, but also then if you can provide any kind of perspective or commentary, or take a report and then drill it down to a personal experience you've had, that makes it more human. It also demonstrates your own personal expertise. And so not only is this great to educate the clients and the public, but it's also good at making you look good. Some usage examples. You can create a page or pages on your website that go through common metrics in the market. If you create that Infosparks with a live chart, with a live shared chart option, you then make it once and it's always updated. You don't have to come back to it. You can create a property specific set of metrics. So for example, you've got a new construction home or a newer construction home and you want to talk about the strength of newer homes in this area, or the limited supply of them, or the fact that this home is priced under the average of others in the neighborhood. You pull the relevant information out of Infosparks and you can add that to your listing brochures or to your open house flyers or to blog posts introducing your new properties for sale. Segment specific, you can talk about the difference between condos and villas or single family, or the new construction versus the existing, or a subdivision versus another, etc. And by being able to use all of those tools in Infosparks, you can really drill down and slice that market data however you need to. create community pages that profile the community and then discuss what's going on in the marketplace and how uh, those metrics for that neighborhood, for median sales price, days on market, etc., how those could compare and contrast to other areas or to the region. Take one or two metrics in a given month and then create an entire set of content around that, discussing what does it mean that there are fewer homes for sale, but yet there are still high sales. You know, the lack of inventory draws buyers to have more frustration. We need new listings. I only have 2 listings. I've sold 4 this month. I need more listings. So if you're thinking about selling, give me a call. Those kinds of comments. And the fact that we have so many different metrics and you can look at those metrics at so many different ways, there's literally as much content as you might want to discuss about the housing market available in these tools. Or you could take it to the next step and grab the data that you glean out of these reports and then rebrand it and expand it into your own marketing piece. And so this agent took the same information that's available in those reports, but then made it his own with his own color schemes and added some of his own commentary to it, grabbed a couple of the key features that he wanted to highlight, and now it definitely fits his own marketing. Mark Twain said it best, there are lies, damn lies, and statistics. So we're going to go through just a couple of caveats to keep in mind. One of the questions comes up is, where do we get our data? The data is from the MLS. We only use MLS data, and we do so because it's the gold standard. We all pay a lot in dues and have a lot of rules set up to make sure that the data we have is top-notch. The FastStats reports that we create are updated each month. They're run on the 6th business day of the month, and they're uploaded to the website on the 8th business day. Whenever you're accessing a FastStats report on the website, you know that that report will be the most current available unless you use that historical archive feature on the left. Infosparks reports are updated nightly through the end of the prior month. So be mindful, say May 1st, May 2nd, May 3rd. If you're looking at Infosparks reports and you're seeing the activity for April, that data might change quite a bit in the first few days of May because of all the late entries that come into the system after the 1st of the month. So pending sales that need to be marked as closed, new listings that didn't get entered in, other status changes for price, etc. So be mindful of that. All the PDF reports that we do in FastStats, those reports always reflect the most current information available when they're generated. So the numbers that are published for the March housing data in May, June, July, we're going to update that March data as well. So those numbers might change just slightly from the original month they were published to subsequent months. That's simply because we're updating the MLS data that we've received and making sure that the charts reflect that current information. A few caveats to keep in mind. Small sample size, especially with Infosparks, but also too in some of the regional reports. Some areas you might see jagged lines in the charts. What that's telling you is that you've got more inconsistent data, usually due to a small sample size. So in particular with Infosparks, you can drill into a very narrow price range, do new construction, single family of only 3 bedrooms, and only 2,000 to 2,200 square feet, and you could drill yourself down to literally 0 or just a couple of listings. When you do that, it's going to be very hard to run good analysis on that simply because there isn't much to look at. So when you see jagged lines like this in a report, that's suggesting that maybe there isn't a lot of data to work off of, and with Infosparks you may want to back that up a little bit and not be quite so aggressive on the filter selections you've made at the top. And again, it drives back that idea that you really want to play with these reports, and particularly with Infosparks, to make sure that you've seen the housing market from all angles. Historical trends are your friend, but they do not guarantee future performance. They give you a good idea of what's going on in the near term, but in the long term, things are a lot more uncertain. I got in the market in 2003. We had a nice, great run up. I had a lot of tailwind. I was very successful. And then the market started to churn a little bit here. We noticed that things were getting different. And then it was a wild ride down to the bottom where we thought the end of the world was coming. But then, happy times came back. So, a couple of lessons here is that there's oftentimes a little bit of resistance on pricing to start to fall because some sellers will simply take their home off the market rather than sell for less than they want. At the bottom, there's often a little resistance for prices to go up because appraisers and buyers are looking at those most recent comparables, and they either think they should be paying less or paying the same as before. So it takes a while for the market to kind of get itself situated and to start that increase back up. The important thing is trends definitely give you a good sense of where things are going in the near term, but that long term is a lot more uncertain. Product mix can come into play, be it foreclosures, be it new construction, be it a smaller town that has a large number of jobs that are lost because a factory closed, and so we have a whole bunch of foreclosures come into play. Whenever you have the housing mix change from one of those situations, the types of houses that are selling are different, the prices that they're selling at are different, and so consequently, things like average sales price and median sales price will change. When there was a huge influx of foreclosures, the prices came down substantially because of that. But part of that was that drag down because of the foreclosure properties that are typically in poorer condition, come with no warranties, and even just showing them simply is not as appealing as the traditional home that might be right next door. So those prices were dragged down a little bit extra simply because that product mix has changed. When a new construction development sells out or the foreclosures leave an area, your type of house that's selling is a little different than it was before, and so consequently the prices are different too to reflect the type of house that's selling. So sometimes the declines or appreciation you see in prices can be because of the product mix change, but not necessarily that the equal condition house has changed any difference in price. So throughout all of this, it's important for you to have ground truth and to know your own market and understand what might be those underlying causes. And again, if you go in and you're filtering through different things in Infosparks, oftentimes you'll see these kinds of eccentricities come out in the data. We're going to use our buddy Bill Gates here to give an example of the differences between median and average values. Some agents prefer median values, some prefer average. And so we'll show you the strengths and weaknesses of each. So Bill Gates walks into a bar, and we have these patrons that have a net worth of $60,000 to $250,000. Bill Gates walks in, he's had a pretty good life. He's got $90 billion of net worth. Well, if we were to average everyone there, the average patron has $13 billion of net worth. I think we'd all agree that would be really wonderful. I would certainly change my life. If we look at the median value instead, we're looking at 125,000. While a lot lower, it's a little bit more reflective of the sample that we have. To find average, we just simply add everyone up and divide by that number. For median, we sort everyone low to high, and we find the person in the middle, and that number is what we use. If we were to take this back over to housing, we have houses 120K to 2.5 million. That 2.5 million is obviously a wonderful sale, but it's very much outlying the other sales that are happening. So if we go by median, we're looking at a median sales price of 180. That median means half the homes sold for less and half the homes sold for more. So it's literally right smack dab in the middle of everything. That average sales price is $635. And while that's really great in terms of a housing number, it's not reflective of the bulk of the houses that have sold. Rolling 12-month eliminates that seasonality you saw. It also eliminates some of the month-to-month jitters that can happen, but it does so at the expense of knowing specifically what happened in any given month and having those hard counts. So if we go to a monthly report, we get those specific numbers, or if we go to a 3-month or 6-month rolling average, we get a little bit smoother of a line, but we still have more near-term real-time data. A few frequently asked questions: how to access Infosparks. Log in to the MLS and click the MarketStats icon. And then for Fast Stats, you want to be in Infosparks and then click the Fast Stats button. If you happen to do an MLS export, you might find that your data is a little bit different than ours. 99.9% of the time, it's for one of these reasons here. You pulled at a different time, you used median versus average, or the filters and selections you made don't match with what is being done by ShowingTime. Once in a while, we do a little bit of data scrubbing. If a house has 200 bedrooms, we're not going to count 200 bedrooms in the figures we produce, but we don't eliminate that sale. We just simply eliminate that errant field. There is no commercial data or county record data included. We're working exclusively with MLS residential data. Days on market are calculated as they are in the MLS. If you do have any questions on how to use the tools, feel free to contact the MLS for assistance. And you are more than welcome to share these reports out to your heart's content, and use them in your business, both with clients and potential future clients. That is the demo for today. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them out, and I will stick around here for a minute or two. Otherwise, you are released. Have a wonderful day. Did have a question come up here about duplexes and whatnot. Inside of Infosparks, the areas that we can look at are single family, condo, and then multifamily as defined with the MLS. So we don't do any kind of land or larger apartments that would be considered something other than multifamily. Alrighty, I'm going to close out the session. Thank you again for coming. Have a great day.